Since my father passed away, I've realized that my mother has been leaning on me in a way that feels more like the support of a spouse than a daughter. No matter how much I try to be there for her, I'm often left with a heavy sense of guilt. Being close feels overwhelming, but stepping back brings intense remorse. For years, I would call her simply because I missed her. But over the past decade, our conversations have almost always revolved around her loneliness and struggles. It's taken a toll on me, and I feel my own life being disrupted by it. What weighs on me most is when she says I am the only reason she continues living. I love her deeply, but I also want to understand our relationship more clearly and find a way to care for her without losing myself. How can I hold love for my mother while maintaining a healthy distance? And is it wrong, or selfish, to feel this way?
Okay, let's get right into it today. We're looking at something really challenging that comes up a lot in adult families. It's this question of, how do you keep caring deeply for a parent, but without losing yourself in the process? We're exploring this through a letter we received, focusing on a really intense mother-daughter relationship described there.
Yeah, and you can feel the pressure right from the start. The person who wrote the letter talks about this heavy sense of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
They say, being close feels overwhelming, but stepping back brings intense remorse. It's this awful bind, really.
It really is. And she points out something specific. This dynamic, it wasn't always like this. It changed. She mentions it started after her father passed away. And now, she says her mother is leaning on me in a way that feels more like the support of a spouse than a daughter.
Right. That's a key shift. It's more than just needing comfort. It's like the daughter's role has fundamentally changed. The parent loses their main support, maybe their spouse, and instead of, finding other peer support, they turn to the child. Almost like making them the primary emotional anchor.
We sometimes hear the term parentification for that, right?
Exactly. The child becomes the caregiver, sometimes even like a partner emotionally. It reverses the natural order of things.
And the letter writer notes how long this has been going on. She says, for years, calls were just normal about missing each other. But she says for the last 10 years or so, the conversations have almost always revolved around her loneliness and struggles. So it's not just a phase, it's a decade where connecting means taking on the parent's pain.
A whole decade. And that really wears you down. It changes the whole nature of the connection, doesn't it? It moves from reciprocal care to, basically the daughter becoming a container for the mother's distress.
Which leads to maybe the hardest part of the letter. The mother tells the daughter that she, the daughter, is the only reason she continues living. Wow. I mean, how do you even process that?
That is incredibly heavy. It takes any idea of setting a healthy boundary and just crushes it under the weight of responsibility. It's like saying, if you step back, you're not just hurting my feelings, you're abandoning my will to live.
So if you, the daughter, feel exhausted or need space, pulling back feels like you could be causing something terrible. It's an impossible choice.
Absolutely. And we need to identify what's happening there emotionally. It often falls into what some call hog, fear, obligation, and guilt. That combination makes the child feel entirely responsible for the parent's well-being, their happiness, even their life. That statement, I live only for you, weaponizes the daughter's love.
So the daughter asks this really raw question, and maybe you listening feel this too. Is it wrong or selfish to feel this way, to feel overwhelmed, maybe even resentful?
Oh, absolutely not. It's not wrong. It's not selfish. It's a signal, a vital one. It's your own system telling you that the current situation is unsustainable. You need that space to survive and, honestly, to provide any kind of real, ongoing support.
You can't pour from an empty cup, as they say.
Exactly. But this dynamic demands you keep pouring even when you're completely drained.
Okay, so the challenge then becomes, how do you create some distance, some protection, while still holding on to the love, which she clearly does? What's the practical difference between trying to manage this out of guilt versus setting a real boundary?
That's the key shift. Guilt often leads to sort of soft, explanatory boundaries like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't talk long, I'm just so busy, which invites negotiation or more guilt. A firm boundary is more about stating what you will do based on the situation. For example, Mom, I love talking with you, but if the conversation focuses only on struggles for, say, more than 10 minutes, I'll need to gently end the call, and we can try again tomorrow.
So it shifts the focus. It's less about justifying yourself and more about stating a clear limit and a consequence. calmly.
Precisely. It puts the onus back on the interaction itself, not just on the daughter's capacity to absorb endless distress. It preserves the connection, but protects her energy.
So, thinking about the person who wrote to us, the path forward seems to involve acknowledging that this exhaustion isn't a personal failing, it's a response to an unsustainable dynamic, and that love and boundaries aren't opposites. Boundaries can actually protect the love long term.
That's beautifully put. And one final thought, maybe for everyone listening who relates to this. If we accept that the love is there, deep and real, then we have to ask, what other supports are missing for the parent? Is the child being asked to fill a void that should be met by, I don't know, community, other family, maybe professional help? Are you, the child, essentially trying to plug a systemic gap with your own emotional energy? That's something really important to consider.